And at 99.3 FM.
Lots and lots of sunshine right now. It is 98 degrees. Oil, by the way, down just a smidge at $52.71 a barrel. Checking the market numbers for you now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 232 points at 17,780. The S&P 500 is up 28 now at 2,079. And the NASDAQ is up 80 at 5,002. Reporting for Money Radio, I'm Ken Morgan.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and on the World Wide Web at www.moneyradio1510.com. And we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park, and it is July 10th, Friday. It's hard to believe that it's Friday already. Where did this week go? And we had a lot of things happen this week, but thank God for Friday. Fridays are really, really good. If you're just tuning in, we're a show that is about how our aging adult population can live a healthier, happier life. It's hard to believe we've been on the air now for close to 18, 19 months. Actually, I think it's 19 months. And we have had some phenomenal guests on the show, and everybody from research scientists to physicians to elder law attorneys to financial planners to you name it, they have been on our show. And if you've just tuned in today and you've not heard our show before, I encourage you to go to cypresshomecare.com and click on the radio button and listen to any of the 80-plus broadcasts that we've done right here. The podcasts are up there for your easy listening. So today is no different. Today I have a great guest on the show. And as I mentioned earlier, we've talked about financial planning, and this guy, this is what he does. He is a financial planner extraordinaire, and he is from a bank that has grown here and gotten great recognition over the last couple of years. He's with BMO Private Bank, and for those that are maybe new here to Arizona, BMO is a conglomeration of Harris Trust Bank that was here for many, many years, and M&I Bank, which they acquired a few years ago, and there you have BMO Private Bank. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to our listening audience Jason Miller, who is the Market Manager and Regional Director of Financial Planning for BMO Private Bank. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Wonderful to be here.
It's good to have you on the show. And, we talk about this often here on this show, and that is being prepared for your later years, if you would. And, as we get up there in years, we, as a community, we really believe that, Medicare is going to be there for us. The government's going to be there. The state's going to be there for us. And, I think oftentimes people are a little disappointed. And we deal with this day in and day out. And, the work that we do, and just, for our listening audience to hear this, is we're a home care company. And we provide really non-clinical care. I like to call it in-home care services, where we help people with activities of daily living. And those activities of daily living can be anything from getting dressed in the morning to helping with bathing and showering to reminding people about taking medications, preparing meals, driving them to appointments, companionship, all of the above, if you would. We're in that home when a family member can't be there. I liken our caregivers to being surrogate sons and daughters, so we help our clients be able to remain independent, as much independent as they can be, and still stay at home. oftentimes people call in our office and they need these services as a loved one is being discharged from a hospital or from a post-acute center or rehab. And they say, we ask, how do they intend to pay for this? And they say, well, Medicare doesn't pay for this. And Medicaid will pay for it, but you have to have a certain threshold of income. And that threshold isn't a high number. It's a very low number. And you have to be somewhat destitute to be qualifying for Medicaid. And that's what you do. I would think that you're helping your clients prepare for this eventuality.
Yeah, and I greatly appreciate the services that you provide, and they're so valued and needed in the community. And from our perspective, to your point, that it's really important for individuals to prepare financially themselves for the rising cost of health care for these potential events. When we model out financial planning scenarios and do forecasting for people, what we find is oftentimes the presence of long-term care insurance, for instance, to help pay for some of these costs in later years significantly improves the overall probability of success of having a successful retirement, sustaining the standard of living that people have grown accustomed to, and also then not having to be a burden on loved ones or those who maybe aren't prepared financially or otherwise for that care.
Mm-hmm. No, and you're so right. And you mentioned long-term care insurance, and we've had some long-term care insurance people here on our show. And I would imagine, BMO doesn't have a long-term care insurance product, but that's part of the planning that you guys do.
Yeah, part of our overall planning process is incorporate, all areas of financial management, including properly insuring and protecting against, possible events such as long-term care in the future.
Awesome. And I want to just give our listening audience about what we're looking at some costs that people could be incurring when they need care. So if somebody needed home care and they needed, homemaking care services or home health aid, somebody that's coming in 5 days a week and equivalent to about 40 hours, for the week, that would cost close to $45,000 a year, and that's with after-tax dollars. And if you go to an adult daycare, you're looking at adult daycare costing somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000. You go into an assisted living, that number can be anywhere from $40,000 and here in Scottsdale to $100,000. Yeah,
and that's not uncommon. We have clients who we've seen go into facilities like that that's north of $100,000 in annual cost.
Again, after-tax dollars.
After-tax dollars.
And then skilled nursing, that's $100,000 or more. It's incredibly expensive, and on the skilled nursing side, oftentimes you may be able to find where Medicare will subsidize and pay for a lot of that. But in most cases, you're on your own. And, I applaud you because, one of the things that you shared with me before we even started is that you have a team approach at BMO. And I would like you to, if you wouldn't mind, just share with us a little bit about that team approach and what your role is in that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So we deliver wealth management services in the areas of financial planning, investment management, private banking, and trust and estate administration through a team of specialists. So, for instance, on the trust and estate administration side, we have several former estate planning attorneys on staff who are tasked with administering trusts for those who name us as trustee. We have a number of certified financial planners as well on the team, as well as chartered financial analysts as portfolio managers. And so we really feel that wealth management in today's world is complex enough that one person can't possibly have all the answers. And so we really choose to deliver it in an interdisciplinary team approach fashion. We feel we can really meet their broader needs more holistically that way.
It's interesting. I know we're coming up on a break. You mentioned, trust administration, and I happen to know a couple of your staff members, and Ramey Carpenter and Lindsay Jackson are part of your team. And I really admire BMO for what they've done is they've hired 2 former estate planning attorneys. Were very good at estate planning, and they're now working for the bank doing the trust administration.
Yeah, they've been wonderful additions to the team. The benefit there is that they've obviously been on both sides. They've written documents from a legal perspective, and that gives them better insight on how to properly advise clients and administer documents.
That it's got to give the consumer, the client, a lot of comfort.
Absolutely.
Well, as you can hear, we're up against a break here. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. I've got Jason Miller here in the house. Jason's with BMO, and he's responsible for financial planning for them. And we got a chance to talk a little bit about BMO and what BMO's all about. But we're going to talk a little bit more when we get back. By the way, BMO is Bank
Montreal.
Montreal. Bank of Montreal. So we're going to take our break right now. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. I'm Bob Roth, and I've got Jason Miller with me. We'll be right back.
It's that nagging feeling in the back of your mind. You've tried not to think about it, but you can't avoid it. Do I have enough for my retirement? Maybe yes, maybe no. But isn't it better to know where you're going before you arrive? If so, tune in Wednesdays at noon for Talking Money with Steve Netzel of Netzel Financial and get straightforward advice about how to make your money outlast your retirement. That's Talking Money Wednesdays at noon on Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM.
Do you have a home or have plans to in the future? Don't miss Real Estate Radio Arizona with Carol Royce, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. on Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM. You'll get all the information you need to know about what's happening in the local Arizona real estate market and how to take advantage of that knowledge. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, listen to Real Estate Radio Arizona with Carol Royce, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Oil. We produce it. We use it. We need it. Now you want to know how to invest in it. Join Brandon Cox, CEO of Pipeline Oil and Gas, at his new time, Monday from noon to 1 p.m. Brandon drills down the oil and gas industry. Learn what makes Pipeline different and things to look out for when investing in energy. Education is key when it comes to oil and gas, so don't miss Crude Awakenings with Brandon Cox every Monday from noon to 1 on Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM. For more information, visit pipelineoilandgas.com. It's an extremely valuable resource. It's found in offices, buildings, and schools. It's a resource that speaks volume, yet it never makes a sound. Everyone recognizes it. Everyone uses it. Interestingly enough, it's rarely discussed. Croy Sign Systems, designers and manufacturers of architectural and ADA signs since 1981. Let Croy be your resource for identification, direction, and information. Give Croy Signs a call at 480-619-6070 or online at kroysigns.com.
At Kubota, value means getting more than you expected for less than you thought. Visit your Kubota dealer today for incredible finance offers and instant cash rebates. That's value. That's Kubota.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. And we've got Chicago bringing us in from the break. So thank you, James, for bringing on Chicago. And if you're just tuning in, I've got Jason Miller, who is the Market Manager and Regional Director of Financial Planning for BMO Private Bank. And if you missed the first segment, you can catch it up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the radio button. You can catch that first segment. You can catch about 80 others. And you're going to listen to the next three because Jason's got some great information for our listening audience, especially as it comes to financial planning. And Jason, I'd like to take this opportunity to have you introduce yourself to the audience. You're a native Arizonan.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about you, how you got into banking, where you're from, et cetera, et cetera. I've learned a little bit, but I want our listening audience to hear.
Yeah, native to Arizona. I've always had a passion for financial literacy and helping people really achieve the goals that are most important to them. So I chose to study finance in school and entered the industry as a junior advisor. Subsequently earned an MBA in finance from Brigham Young University, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional, along with a number of other licensures that are required in our field. But what drew me to the field really was the opportunity to help people identify opportunities and risks that they didn't even know were there, and then help them put a plan in place to solve them, and then also to provide for those things that are most important to them. And it continues to be probably the most rewarding aspect of what we do.
And you're a native to Gilbert, you were telling me?
Well, I was actually born in Tucson.
In Tucson, okay.
Yeah, I currently live in Scottsdale.
So you were born in Wildcat Country, and you became a Sun Devil, huh?
Yes.
Man, so you got both of them covered, right? And I know you're an avid baseball fan, as I am. And how about those D-backs? We're at 500.
So happy to see it. Happy to see Goldie get the start at first base in the All-Star game, and Pollock make the team as well.
Isn't that great?
Wonderful.
You know what? I've got a good feeling about this year, and hopefully just before the break we could maybe just inch up a little bit more above 500. But we're in a tie for second place.
Still within striking distance.
We are, and I digress a little bit about baseball. I really like the team that we got. I mean, I was a little questioned, about Tony La Russa being there, but having Dave Stewart and some of the other personnel there, I mean, I think these guys know what they're doing. So
doing a great job.
It's really, really exciting. Jason, I wanted to really get back to talking about our aging adult population, because that's what our show is about, and I want to ask you this question in terms of, those that are nearing retirement. They need to think about how they can sustain their lifestyle. And, that's a really hard thing to do. I mean, because when you got income coming in, you've got disposable income. And, back when our folks and my dad retired, I mean, you could get residual income on your corpus, if you would, your financial nest egg. You could get residual income of 5, 7, 8, 10% back in those days. Now, what, maybe 3 or 4% at the best you might be able to get? So you really need to plan. And I'd love for you to I would love for our listening audience to hear from you in terms of, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, one of the primary things that we see is people tend to have a very one-dimensional view of risk. We encounter a lot of folks who are entering that retirement period who are don't understand maybe the role that of the importance of growth in their portfolios and overall financial plans. See, inflation going forward, if somebody has to sustain a retirement lifestyle for a 20 or 30-year time period, potentially, the effects of inflation on the purchasing power of their dollars are material. And it's very difficult, as you alluded to, in today's interest rate environment to think that we can keep up with inflation without some component of growth in the portfolio. And so I actually wrote a paper last year about kind of the counterintuitive relationship between having a certain portion of the portfolio dedicated to growth, and that obviously introduces more investment risk, but that increased investment risk, if done intelligently, can actually reduce the risk of not achieving your goals long term. And so there's an important place for that. So that's one of the key considerations I think people should think about early in their retirement time horizon, is appropriately structuring their investment portfolio for the long term and sticking to that plan.
You look at interest rates, and we know where they're at today. And, I can remember graduating college many, many years ago, back in the early 80s, and interest rates were 12%, 14%. I think they got as high as 17, 18%. I mean, look where we're at today. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it really is. And you and I both know it's not sustainable. And we know that Janet Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, keeps telling us that we're going to see an increase in our interest rates. But you and I both know we do that, it could be potentially Armageddon for so many people out there.
Yeah, and we never want to be fearful about it, but it's important to remain diversified and disciplined in an investment approach, and really have one structured towards overall lifestyle goals more so than just, short-term risk tolerance.
Right. And, when I gave those numbers for long-term care, and I'm talking about assisted, skilled, home care, I mean, those are real numbers. And I would imagine when you sit down with somebody and you're doing this planning, obviously we talked about long-term care insurance being a component of that.
Absolutely.
Because that can just eat up somebody's nest egg overnight.
Absolutely. It's one of the main risks facing retirees, and a lot of people are unaware that today there are more options for insuring against that risk than the traditional kind of pay-as-you-go policies, use it or lose it type policies. There are many other options now that people can use to help offset some of that risk.
And one of them that I've learned about, because I'm an advocate of it and I own it because I'm in this business and I realize it, is that there's a hybrid program out there with life as well as long-term together.
Absolutely.
And you can convert your life into a long-term care insurance to help pay for those types of needs. And I just want our listening audience to hear this. I mean, I have a couple clients of mine that are paying well over $100,000 a year for this care. And that's with after-tax dollars. It's scary.
Significant.
It really is scary. And it's that old adage, and we've talked about it here before. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And now's the time. And even for us guys that are 40s, 50s, maybe even early 60s, it's now. And you shouldn't wait.
Absolutely.
Do you have a magic number on when you should start? Is it in the 20s, 30s, or do you want to wait to the 40s to really start planning?
Yeah, and my role specifically is not as a long-term care insurance expert. There's obviously a point where, it is too young to purchase insurance for a risk like that. But it's also wise to plan ahead and to make sure that you don't wait too long, because obviously the cost of insurance increases with age.
It does, for sure. So one other question I have for you, and it's something that I've always thought about, is, especially as I get closer to the age, is Social Security. And, I know that, first of all, I'm hoping it's there when it's my time, but we don't know. We think it is. We hope it is. But, when you get to that age, you have the option to take it early. And you also have the option to take it later. Obviously, there's a formula that you go through when you sit down with a client. Talk to us a little bit about Social Security and the benefits and retirement planning.
Yeah, so obviously we all know that you can take Social Security early at age 62. If somebody's full retirement age were 66, taking it at 62 would result in about a 25% reduction in benefits. Now, there are times when it may make sense for someone to take it early at 62, but generally speaking, as long as somebody has a life expectancy past early 80s, or somebody in a couple has a life expectancy past the early 80s, we found that it actually makes sense to defer claiming Social Security, not just to full retirement age, but even past that, to take advantage of the deferred retirement credits, the delayed retirement credits of 8% per year that are credited to the benefit from age 66 or full retirement age to 70.
And do you get penalized for taking it too late? I mean, can you take it at 75, wait to take it till then? Or?
There's no point to wait to 75 because the delayed retirement credits only go until age 70. So the latest somebody should consider taking Social Security would be age 70.
Age 70. Well, I've learned a little bit about Social Security. I'm hoping that it's there for me. And you're a few years younger than me, and I hope it's there for you. But it's good to know as part of your planning when that is going to kick in. We're up against another break here, Jason. It's hard to believe we're down 2 segments. We're having a great time. And if you're just tuning in, I've got Jason Miller in the house. He's the market manager and regional director of financial planning for BMO. We're going to take a break now. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
With information about 21 million federal employees exposed to cyber criminals, Catherine Archuleta, the head of the Office of Personnel Management, has stepped down. White House spokesman Josh Earnest.
Director Archuleta did offer her resignation today. She did so of her own volition.
The FBI now says Dylan Roof, accused of gunning down 9 black churchgoers in South Carolina, should not have been approved to buy a gun. Justice correspondent Pamela Brown has more.
The FBI examiner conducting the background check never made contact with Columbia, South Carolina police, which arrested Dylan Roof on a felony drug charge. And during that arrest, he admitted to police that he had the possession of the drugs. Had the FBI known that, he would have never been able to buy that gun.
A big rally for Wall Street on hopes Greece will work out a financial deal that is sending the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 226 points, the Nasdaq gaining 80. I'm Ann Cates.
Imagine a store that lets you get the things you wanted, how you wanted. Don't want to use your credit? Don't. Don't have credit? Don't worry. Want to set up a payment plan around your pay dates so you're never short on cash? It's up to you. Imagine payments that fit your budget, your schedule, your life. That's Rent-A-Center. Imagine that. No credit needed. Flexible payment plans scheduled around your needs. Imagine new possibilities at Rent-A-Center. Rental purchase transaction. See store for details.
Welcome to Staples. How can I help you?
Hey, Staples guy. I need to promote my new business and do it on budget.
I can make that happen.
Can you print business cards?
Staples can print business cards, brochures, banners.
Pens?
Pens, magnets, luggage tags.
Calendars.
Calendars, sticky notes, lawn signs, and window decals.
What about boom fingers?
What color? Red, yellow, blue?
You had me at yellow.
Make on budget happen, make getting noticed happen. Staples, make more happen. Now at Staples, get 20% off any copy and print order of $50 or more.
Offer valid in store and online at staples.com/on-budget and 7/20/15. Excludes daily deals, self-serve copying and faxing, computer rentals, and outsourced print services. Discount applied before taxes. May not be combined with any other offer.
A little good advice can go a long way. A long way toward meeting your retirement goals, that is. You'll get it right here on Money Radio every day.
Hi, I'm Johnny D.
And I'm Rick, the Professor Plum.
Every day on Bucket Strategy Investing, we're talking about financial planning, investment decisions, and retirement strategies.
We focus on wealth education and the strategy designed for the needs you have today.
And the goals you have for the future. Tune in to Bucket Strategy Investing.
And call in with questions.
Retirement strategies, taxes, Social Security, and more. That's what we're talking about on Bucket Strategy Investing.
You know, most of the listeners of the station have a mortgage of some type. My question is, why? My name is Joe Capitano, Senior Vice President, Homeowners Financial Group. Think of what life would be like if you didn't have a mortgage, that extra cash each month to enjoy or to invest. And I can show you how to eliminate that mortgage in a fraction of the time without changing any of your current spending habits. It's so simple, it'll just amaze you. Call me today and let me get you back on the road to financial freedom. The interest savings alone could put your kids through college or maybe fund your retirement. Call me, Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com. Back number 090-6222, MLS number 9826, Equal Housing Lender. That's Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545. That's Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545. 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com.
Mondays are the most profitable day of the week. When you listen to Money Making Mondays with the microcap master, Evan Greenberg, Chief Investment Strategist for the Legend Cap Opportunity Fund. For more info, call Evan at 516-662-0303. That's 516-662-0303. Or email Evan at legendcapfunds.com. And tune in Mondays at 1 p.m. for Money Making Monday.
At Kubota, value means getting more than you expected for less than you thought. Visit your Kubota dealer today for incredible finance offers and instant cash rebates. That's value. That's Kubota.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. General Motors is recalling nearly 780,000 crossover SUVs, mainly in North America, because the rear power lift gates can suddenly fall and hit someone. The recall covers the Buick Enclave from the 2008 to 2012 model years and the Chevy Traverse from 2009 through 2012. Also affected are the GMC Acadia from the 2007 through 2012 model years and the Saturn Outlook going back to 2007. GM shares are up 1%. Shares of Cablevision Systems are up more than 7%, following a Wall Street Journal report that the company is one of several U.S. cable operators that French telecom Altice may be interested in buying. The broader market remains sharply higher. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is now ahead 248 points. Despite a big drop Wednesday, the Dow is now on track for a weekly gain. The Nasdaq Composite is up 85. That's your money now.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000 or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So don't delay. Call General Steel today at 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL. Need more planning? No problem. General Steel can help you with that right now. Call General Steel and be in your new building this year. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-957-8335.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And I've got Jason Miller from BMO Bank. And he's the market manager and regional director of financial planning for them. And if you're just tuning in, we're on our third segment. If you missed the first two, you can catch them right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. And when we left off, we were talking about planning, and we were talking about Social Security, and you really educated me on that. I didn't really realize that you got a 25% haircut if you took it early at 62. And you could get the most out of it, especially if you got longevity in your family and you're living somewhat of a healthy life, and as you said, Jason, if you're going to live into your 80s and you have the means to not take it yet, wait till you're 70, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that does a few things. Number one, it provides a greater hedge against inflation in later years because, as we know, cost of living, Social Security receives a cost of living adjustment.
Right.
Equivalent to inflation. And so if you wait and you defer and you start with a bigger number and you get inflation adjustments on that bigger number, there's a greater compounding effect into the later years. And so that can really help.
And if you're just tuning in, Jason, his specialty is financial planning. And if you haven't sat down with a financial planner, obviously, Jason's here on the show and he's available, and I'm going to give you, his phone number so you can reach him. It's 480-348-7700. But it doesn't have to be Jason. You need to have a plan, and I use that adage all the time. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. You need to sit down with somebody that's got the certification that can help you put a roadmap together, right? Isn't that what we really do?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be us, as you said. It can be anybody. Just make sure you're working with quality professionals that can help you put together an overall plan.
Yeah, and certainly diversity is something that you want because and a lot of people are out there, including myself. When you work for big companies, you get these 401k plans, and a lot of time, all that money that you've been putting into it, and it's all been pre-tax money, et cetera, gets put into these stocks, and sometimes it's the company stock that you're working for. And you get out of that, what do you do with that money? And it's really smart to be with somebody that can take a look at it and say, okay, what is your risk tolerance? What are your plans? And diversity is probably something you advocate and want your clients to take a look into.
Yeah, absolutely, especially during those years when the portfolio is being used to supplement retirement income. There's an interesting concept that in retirement time horizons, if you were to get a negative series of returns early in a retirement time horizon and we're taking withdrawals at the same time, that could do material damage to the portfolio and overall ability to sustain the lifestyle. And so thinking through that asset allocation decision, especially early in the retirement time horizon, is crucial.
And you hit a word that, unfortunately, because of these times, especially these last 6 or 7 years, many people have been forced to take a look at, and that is taking some of that money early. And I'd love for you to share with us, and we haven't talked about this, but that has a very detrimental effect on your overall portfolio. If you're dipping into your retirement savings, your 401ks and stuff like that, what do you advise, or how do you advise your clients on stuff like that?
Well, obviously, we never want to see people take premature early distributions from their qualified retirement plans or IRAs. Anything taken prior to age 59 and a half, with certain exceptions, is it's taxed, and there's a tax penalty, a 10% tax penalty. And so not only is it detrimental to future savings, compounding, but you also can't make the best use of those dollars because the tax burden is higher.
Yep, absolutely. And borrowing against it too. I mean, some people do that, and that's probably something you don't advise either.
Yeah, I think obviously, accessing retirement plans should be a last resort prior to the time period they're meant to be used for. And that's why the laws are set up the way they are. They're structured to fund retirements. They're not structured to fund living expenses before retirement. So it really is a very last resort.
No, thank you. And thank you for sharing that with us. So one of the things that you and I talked about, and I wanted us to at least share with our listening audience, is how does estate planning factor into the overall retirement planning? And I've had elder law attorneys on here, but I'd love to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, so the first thing we try to make sure that clients have is just making sure they have the appropriate documents in place as a base structure. And so that's trusts, potentially revocable living trusts, wills, advanced medical directives like a living will, which would give direction to physicians about your medical care and what your preferences would be. It can be very important. Powers of attorney for healthcare, who's going to help make those decisions, and powers of attorney for financial matters. And so an estate planning attorney can put together the basic package, and then from there we look at advanced strategies that people with more means may need to employ.
And you talked about having that team over at BMO, and we mentioned the former estate planning attorneys. It's really nice that you have that access. So these team members, whether it be Ramey or whether it be Lindsay, can take a look at this on the client's behalf and say, okay, you have all the documents in place, or no, you need to get the following done.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. And then it goes even further from that, making sure that even if the documents are drafted, that the estate plan is then fully implemented. A lot of times we see a gap where someone will have, for instance, a revocable living trust done, and it's a wonderful trust, and it says all the things that they want it to say, and they forget to actually title their assets in the name of that trust, not understanding that if the assets aren't titled in the name of the trust, if the trust doesn't own those assets, they're not going to pass according to the provisions of the trust at death, and this kind of undermines the purpose. So we see a lot of gaps in that, and really try to be diligent about helping people fully implement so that it works like they want it to.
And those assets can be real estate, they can be just about anything.
That could be
right?
Real estate, that could be liquid investment assets, correct.
No, that's awesome. And you talked about revocable trusts. There are a lot of times there are irrevocable trusts. And do you advise people to do irrevocable trusts? And what are some of the parameters around those?
It's obviously case specific. There's definitely a use for those tools in estate planning situations. One of the things about that's wonderful for our clients is that we also can help serve as trustee or co-trustee on those trusts, and that can help from an administrative standpoint quite significantly.
And they do also have a thing, and I know this because I ended up getting one for my family members, especially for my children, is irrevocable life insurance trusts. Can you talk to me a little bit about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So life insurance, the death benefit proceeds are tax-free to the recipient of those proceeds from an income tax standpoint. And everybody always talks about life insurance proceeds being tax-free. And while that's true from an income tax standpoint to the recipient, if life insurance is owned by an individual, the life insurance proceeds are includable in their estate for estate tax purposes. So life insurance death benefits aren't entirely tax-free. They can be subject to estate tax. The way that we plan around that is to have a separate trust, an irrevocable trust. We term an irrevocable life insurance trust, or ILIT, be the owner of the life insurance policy. And in that instance, it's removed from the decedent's estate and not subject to estate taxes. And so that's the power of having an irrevocable life insurance trust, particularly for those who have a taxable estate, meaning they're over the lifetime exemption equivalent of $5.43 million today.
Yeah, and the advice I got from my estate planning attorney many, many years ago, and I'm almost run out because the insurance policies that we bought, my wife and I, were 20-year term policies, but we bought policies for our children through an irrevocable trust, irrevocable life insurance trust, like a ILIT is what they call them. And I think that's a smart way to go. At least I thought it was a smart way to go. And at least, I had money set aside for the kids. God forbid something were to happen. And that's the part of planning, right? We got a plan.
Absolutely.
Well, it's hard to believe we're coming up on another break. We're just having a lot of fun here, Jason. We're here in the studios at Scottsdale Air Park. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And we're going to come up here on a break. We're down 3 segments. We got one more coming on. Take a listen to a little more Chicago, and we'll be right back.
Stock market corrections may seem like random occurrences, but the fact is, market corrections are bound to happen. But what if you could see the correction coming in advance? What if you could be prepared to short the market before it's too late? Don't get caught off guard. Become a philsgang.com member and get all the daily market information, investment strategies, and be prepared to make profits when the market is up or the market is down. You can do this for only $49.95 a month. Learn how to invest in the market, get daily coaching guidance on your investments, and take the first step of putting profits in your pocket. With philsgang.com, you just log on and get daily instructions on how to invest in the market. You don't have to worry about long-term contracts or hidden fees. Plus, all philsgang.com material is archived, so just log on and enjoy the ride to profits. philsgang.com. Go to philsgang.com or give them a call today at 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Are you ready to start receiving Social Security? Do you have a plan on how you're going to withdraw it? Call Certified Financial Planner Nancy Fleming of Fleming Financial Services to learn more about the role Social Security plays in your overall retirement plan. Will Social Security be the foundation for you? Is it a nice addition to what you already planned out? Is it going to be better for you to wait to start receiving your Social Security benefit, or should you start sooner? These are very important questions you need to ask yourself before you retire. Call Nancy Fleming today to schedule your free Social Security analysis. 480-632-8770. Nancy Fleming is driven by one focused goal: to help clients grow, protect, and transfer all they've worked so hard to achieve. 480-632-8770. That's 480-632-8770, or visit FlemingFinancialServices.com. Fleming Financial Services is a licensed investment advisor. By contacting them, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of investment or insurance products. At Kubota, value means getting more than you expected for less than you thought. Visit your Kubota dealer today for incredible finance offers and instant cash rebates. That's value. That's Kubota.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And I'm Bob Roth, and I'm here with Jason Miller. He's the Market Manager and Regional Director of Financial Planning for BMO Private Bank. And we are on our 4th segment. And if you missed the first 3 segments, you can catch them right up on our website at CypressHomeCare.com. Click on the radio button, and you can catch the last 3, this one, and you can catch about 80 others. So, Jason, we're coming down to the end of the show, and it's hard to believe it. But I wanted just to ask you one last question about financial planning and really what kind of tips can you communicate with your families about financial matters?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is to have proactive communication with the next generation to ensure that everybody's on the same page. There's really no substitute for just having meaningful, open dialogue around what the plans are for the future and ferreting out kind of some of the concerns or problems before it becomes too late.
You know, I've talked about it here on the show before, and certainly I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's about having that conversation with the family members. And it's not one conversation, is it, Jason? It's an ongoing dialogue. And whether it come from a trusted advisor like you or the wealth advisor over at BMO, or it comes from the adult child, we need to really start having this conversation with our aging adult parents and aging adult loved ones, and really start to map out what they want it to look like.
And I've found that sometimes it can really help to have a professional facilitate that in maybe a more formalized fashion, and serve as kind of a neutral third party, almost a mediator of sorts, if you will, and that sort of maybe reduces some of the tension.
And that can be the bank.
That could be
it could be a lawyer.
Yes.
It could be your accountant.
Any trusted advisor.
It could be your spiritual leader. It could be just about anybody, and I advocate that too. We need to get everybody involved in this because it really does take a village. It really does. And you sat down or you shared with us in the last segment. You shared with us a lot of the legal documents that need to be in place, the advance directives and the healthcare power of attorney and the durable mental power of attorney. All of those things need to be in place. And if you've not done them for a loved one, you really need to sit down with a professional and get those memorialized and make sure your wishes are clearly understood. And we talked about it in the first segment. We talked about the cost of care. And, many of us don't think we're going to ever need care. And, we think we're going to live forever, and we're going to think that, I'm not going to be that guy that's going to end up in the nursing home, or I'm not going to be the guy that ends up in the rehab, or I'm not going to be the guy that ends up in an assisted living. But, we're all going down this path. And, they say death and taxes are a certainty. And, planning for this is so important. And I just, I can't reiterate enough how much home care can cost, how much assisted living can cost, independent living, or even skilled. I mean, we're talking upwards to $100,000, if not more. I've had clients pay over $200,000 a year in after-tax dollars. And if you don't have that kind of discretionary income to do this, then you need to sit down with a financial planner. And you need to sit down and start mapping out that roadmap on how to do that. And as you shared with us, Social Security is one of the mechanisms to help you pay for that. But savings and a plan is clearly the way to do it.
And even I'd add that even for those who do have the financial means to pay for it, for this care themselves, there may be, in certain instances, a smarter way to self-insure. So there may be the need for planning, even if someone feels the resources are there.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I want to just talk a little bit, as we conclude our show, talk about home care. And there are lots of options when it comes to needing help. And, we were very successful, and I say we, a few of us employer-based home care agencies for the last 8 years, we've been trying to get some kind of regulation to protect our aging adult population. And starting next week, we kick into place a disclosure regulation in our community and in our state. And that requires the home care companies, and whether they be contractors or employees, and I always advocate using an employer-based one because of the security that you get with it. And let me describe that a little bit. the background checks that are done on caregivers, the caregiver training that is that happens at a employer-based agency. You've got supervision that happens with an employer-based agency. You've got care oversight, and if some caregiver is unable to show, you'll get a replacement caregiver. You have insurance in place for workers' comp. You've got professional liability. You've got all kinds of protections that are in place. You got the taxes that are being paid. And, you being a financial planner, you can appreciate this. There are so many people that are unbeknownst to the fact that somebody's got to pay the taxes. And there have been situations where that care recipient has ended up being the accidental employer, and the government has come back to them for those taxes. So as a result of this, we have lobbied our legislature, and they have saw fit that we need to have disclosure. So a lot of things need to be put out front to the consumer, and that is, is it a registry, meaning contract, or are they employees? Is there training? Is there background checks? At Cypress Home Care, we do all of those. And we also do drug screening, and that is pre-employment drug screening. The best thing about Cypress Home Care Solutions is that we have a caregiver training lab. And that caregiver training lab is something that really sets us apart from many others. We've had it for 11 years. We've trained over 800 families here in our community on how to be a good caregiver. And we advocate and we talk to many of those people out there that are assisting people with care, that we have this training lab. And if you know of somebody that needs just some skill development on how to be a better caregiver, have them call us at Cypress Home Care at 602-264-8009. If we have room in a caregiver training class, we welcome the public in so that they can learn how to be a caregiver and care for their loved ones. So with that, we're going to wrap up our show. It's hard to believe it. Jason, do you have any parting comments you want to give to our listening audience?
It's been great to be here, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you joining me today, and you've given us a lot of great things to think about, and I talk about it often here on our show, and that is planning. And it's really important for us to plan. I mean, we're always on the go. Go, 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 go. And for those of us who have kids, we understand that. And I know you have 4 kids, so they keep you busy and they keep you on the run. But sometimes we need to pause and just take a second and give a breath, a long breath, and say, okay, where am I at? And you know what? Next thing you know, and I shared this with you, your kids are grown, they're out of the house, and you're 50 or over, and you're on the second half of your life, and you already should have your plan in place. You should not be putting your plan in place at that time. So, Jason, thank you for helping our listening audience understand that.
Thank you.
Just one more time, if you want to reach Jason Miller, you can reach him at 480-348-7700. And it's hard to believe we're done. Jason, do you have anything special planned for the weekend?
Just going to spend some quality time with the family.
Well, fantastic. I'm going to do the same. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit cypresshomecare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
It's that nagging feeling in the back of your mind. You've tried not to think about it, but you can't avoid it. Do I have enough for my retirement? Maybe yes, maybe no. But isn't it better to know where you're going before you arrive? If so, tune in Wednesdays at noon for Talking Money with Steve Netzel of Netzel Financial and get straightforward advice about how to make your money outlast your retirement. That's Talking Money Wednesdays at noon on Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
You is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257CD Phoenix. AM, FM, smartphone, computer, all ways to listen to the latest money news on Money Radio, no matter where you are. Dow is up 226 points, the S&P 500 up 27, and the NASDAQ is up 79 points now.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we